Yeah, I agree with that.
The Prairie View City Council meeting is now called to order for September 23rd, 2019. The time is 5:19. Ms. Bynum, would you certify the quorum, please?
Councilmember Rowland,
Present.
Councilmember Randall, Councilmember Jones,
Here.
Councilmember Williams, Councilmember Wallace.
Thank you, ma'am. If we can now stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. And Judge Alexander, if you would grace us with a brief prayer to kick off the meeting.
Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening in the name of Jesus. God, we're asking you to give us clarity and give us wisdom as we move forward, God. This is your city and we give it to you, and we ask that you will be over the meeting, give us good direction, that your will be done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our item today is the revenue and expenditure budget public hearing for the city of Prairie View for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. It's Monday, September 23rd, 2019. The public hearing to discuss the proposed 2019-2020 revenue and expenditure budget for the city of Prairie View. This budget will raise more revenue from property taxes than last year's budget by an amount of $441,339, which is a 45% increase from last year's budget. And of that amount, $252,573 is tax revenue to be raised from new property added to the tax roll this year. The public hearing is now open. Any questions from the public on the budget? Ms. Reed?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and council members. As chairman of the historical committee, I am here to make a request on behalf of the members for a proposal to the mayor and the council members that we set aside funds for the construction or the building of a landmark monument. This is to show the achievements of notable citizens who have made substantial contributions to the growth and development of the city of Prairie View. For instance, we've had Dr. Owens, Emory Owens, for years. For people, he was on the doctor year. We had the Whitechapel community that contributed food and other foodstuffs for the university, and I could go on and on. Dr. A.N. Pondexter. We have about 25 names. We don't plan to try to put them all on at one time, but we can add so many per year. But we think this wall would be an attraction for the city. We can discuss size and location later about where to put it. But we think this is something that we would like for you all to include in the budget before you vote on it tonight, the establishment of that memorial wall. And we would appreciate that. And I have one other thing that I would like to make a suggestion on. Several of the citizens, and I guess because I see them and I live near several of them, they have complained about trash being put out in the yards, like people set out mattresses and old sofas and chairs that they no longer want. And I do believe that we're supposed to have a code enforcer, am I right? Okay, my suggestion is that, and I thought I heard y'all say one night that we sent someone to school to know how to do this code enforcing. So I would like to know that since it will not require adding any more additional money or hiring anyone, is it possible that if those code enforcers are available, why not can we hire them to continue to enforce the code of having this trash removed? And I was asked to make that announcement on behalf of about 10 citizens, so that's my request. Thank you. How much in the budget for the wall? Well, I don't know the size of the wall, and I don't know what it's gonna cost, but I know we're gonna be looking at least from $20,000 to $25,000 for that wall. Yes.
Within, we're in progress, and I'm glad to, last meeting I asked for a historical committee, but glad to know that you're the chair, and I'll like to assist, you with this project.
Oh, thank you.
And then that, we haven't quite developed, a park yet in the city, and with plans on development, I think this would be a great, addition and feature, to
For the
park.
Sandra Bland wall. Is that the one you're talking
No,
about?
it's not Sandra Bland Wall, but right now it is listed as Sandra Bland Park.
Okay,
But I would
okay.
like to move forward in a different direction of the park being named after Sandra Bland to a different name, being that we will have a historical marker there to where we can add this wall in addition. And I do know that, in our budget talks, JJ said that we could, what kind of expense would it be for, citizens or even, would it be a special,
Oh, if it's, you got contributions from outside sources, we would set up a special account.
okay, and so would that take any additional changes to our budget?
No,
to add?
no.
All right, so
We would set up a committee, and they would oversee that. We would just be the banker. We just have an account under the city's name, and we'd set that up, and once the contributions, we'd have them there, and then we apply it toward that particular project.
Okay, so Ms. Reed, that sounds like something that you would be willing to do?
Yes, but I was also hoping that we already had some funds available for it, and that we can always use those contributions, because we can always add to the wall for notable things that might get done in the city. Do we have some funds above, to get started?
Not $25,000.
Well, how much do we have?
Well, we got under awards, it falls under awards, I think it's about 2,000,
But then at some point, when we do,
but we can visit it during the year.
with the assist with Ms. Reed
Yeah, we
and
can.
working on the development, so we can actually get
We can
an
visit it
estimated
during the
cost,
year, right.
we could move some funds over to get.
Thank you
We can
very
make
much.
adjustments during the year.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I just wanted, before you all vote on the budget tonight, I wanted to make sure that I can get that included in it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No problem.
We can work on that.
Next, comment from the public? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening to everyone, and to the council and the mayor. I too would like to make certain that we have available in our budget funds that would allow for the maintenance of the city in terms of like mowing the entire city on a regular, consistent basis, so that we are not in a situation where at sometimes this particular area is mowed and then others are not. Because at this present time, in just riding through the city, I noticed that there are several areas that need to be mowed and haven't been, as far as I know, in quite a while. So there needs to be some funds available for those kinds of things. Maybe, I don't know if we need additional personnel as well. Also funds to, for infrastructure, to maintain the streets so that potholes are filled on a regular basis, and other maintenance type of things that need to be done can be done in a timely way, so that when we're driving through the city, we don't have damage done to our vehicles and, you know, that kind of thing. Also, additionally, I don't know if anything was settled in terms of the budget in the meeting yesterday in terms of the fund for the additional police officers, but that's real important to us that we have adequate police officers to assure the safety of all of us who live here and to protect our property. And I don't know in terms of what, I know that there are certain days that we can have the big trash pickup if we call Republic Waste and let them know, and they will pick up those kinds of items. But in the case that someone just goes to a certain place and dumps something because they don't want it anymore and it just sits there for weeks and weeks and weeks, there needs to be some provision for those kinds of things to be taken care of because there is a pile of trash that has grown considerably over a period of time on 1098 that's close to across from the O'Banion property as you're going to the cemetery. It's on the right side. It's been there for quite a while. All kinds of items are there. And then right on the corner of University Drive and Owens Road, there by the AM Grill, that pile of trash is still there, and it's been there for a while. These kinds of things don't enhance our city, and when people come to our city and see this kind of thing, I don't think this is going to encourage them to want to maybe do business here or to live here. So these are the kinds of things that I think we can take care of if we put money in the budget so that they are taken care of, and so that there are some guidelines that we have in place that can be followed, because there are always some exceptions that we need to make for certain things. But these are just some of the things that I would like to see included in the budget.
Thank you. Next, just,
Do I have to come up there, or you can hear me talk?
we can hear you, I mean.
I would still like to have my answer about the things that are on the attorney, the comptroller's website. This is money, and you should be able to tell me what this money was for. I mean, it's numbers that they get from you. And I would like to know, because it doesn't fit with the.
Can I see one?
Sure. I would still like to know. Because if the numbers are read, where a cab principal amount is $850, which is on the second page, and then the cab maturity amount is $280,000, and the comptroller's office says that's not a misprint.
No, that's
So-
not.
So you borrowed $850?
No. This right here, can I address that, Mayor?
Go ahead.
Okay. What you got here is part of our bond debt, that $4.5 million. That's our current outstanding bond debt. And we use property tax money. It's called the INS portion of, you have to set aside a portion of your property taxes first before you allocate any money toward the operations of the city to pay the outstanding debt. That $2,080 that you see there, that's the amount of debt that we owe for this current period on that $4 million debt. That's why it says maturity amount. And we do have in the budget to pay that amount for this current period.
So what you're looking at, basically, things tend to be front-weighted by interest.
I understand that.
So that's what he's saying, out of the 280, we've only paid down 850 we would only be paying down $850 toward the principal,
Mhm.
because majority of what you pay, like on a car, is you pay
Correct.
interest first. So that's all this is.
So how old is this debt?
This debt started in 2011.
Then it can't be this one. This one is in 2014.
We refinanced, this right here is the bond debt, man. I don't know what date they have on it, but it is the bond debt, and we do show it on our financial.
Okay,
You'll see it on the financial. If you look at our financial, the one that we have, you'll see that, but that's what that is. That's the bond debt. And then you ask about the maturity of 280, that's the amount that's due in the current period. And
Today.
we just made a payment in this September. Yes, ma'am.
okay. And so is this all the debt that the city is carrying?
No. Additional to the bond debt, we have debt on some vehicles, some public works equipment, and what have you. It is listed. Did you get a copy of the handout from the mayor? Look at page. A, B, C, go to page D of the handout. D of the handout.
Okay,
On the debt service, it's listed there of all the debt that the city will be paying on in this upcoming fiscal period out of the general administration fund. That's both the principal and the interest total, itemized.
Mr. Johnson. Next question. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I have several comments to make concerning the budget. I have gone throughout this city from one end to the other, door to door, talking to people, asking them what they think that's important in terms of the budget that we're considering now. And one of the things, as Ms. Bennett mentioned, was the grass cut. When Councilman Jones had his town hall a couple of weeks ago, several people in the audience expressed their concern about the grass being so high, especially down Owens Road. The next day, I'm out doing my rounds around the city, because I ride around the city every day. And here's the mayor on the lawnmower, riding up and down Owens Road, cutting the grass. And so I'm wondering, like, why is the mayor cutting the grass? Then, a couple of days later, up here where the flagpoles are, Mr. Glover is out there riding the lawnmower, cutting the grass. So obviously, there's a need to have some money in the budget, to have some professionals, whoever it may be, to cut the city grass. From what, talking to the people here at the city, we have several lawnmowers, the riding mowers that are industrial strength to cut the grass. But if the mayor's gonna be cutting it and Mr. Glover's gonna be cutting it, then that takes away from the time mayor doing mayor business and Mr. Glover doing other business. So we definitely don't need that taken out of the budget, grass cutting. Matter of fact, put some more in there. Another real issue that I keep hearing over and over and over again from citizens is police protection. A lot of our citizens here are retired, and a lot of widows. And one of the paramount needs that they've expressed to me over and over again is the need to have adequate police coverage. Even if we have to triple what we have now, that's of paramount importance. And another thing I keep hearing from them is we're paying all this tax money, but we don't feel like we're getting the safety and security we need. So I'm bringing that before you to let you know that that is a concern. Once again, my Spanish is kind of rusty, so I had to get an interpreter, David, to go with me. Streets near Joan of Arc and Marie Antoinette. The people there are very concerned because their streets are not paved. If you drive down there and it's raining or it's just rained, they have big, deep potholes. They have mud. They have little children who live on that street that have to play in the mud and the potholes. And they feel as though they're being neglected by the city because they've been to city council meetings several times to ask about that. And that should be a number one item, even, and this is my opinion, even before filling potholes on already paved streets, I think that we owe them to get their streets paved. That's a concern. Another concern is, instead of selling city land to the university to pay off the wastewater bill, 2 other options exist. Well, I'm sure there are 10 other options, but 2 other options have been mentioned to me. Number 1, sell that land, the same land that you're gonna sell to the university. And once you sell it to the university doesn't pay property tax. So of course, you may be getting rid of the outstanding wastewater bill, but it's not gonna produce any additional income unless the university decides to put a business there, and then you're gonna get sales tax. But there's no guarantee that they're gonna put a business there. So a better idea is to sell it to a developer. We have developers, they stop me on the street to ask me what's for sale in Prairie View. There are people trying to buy land in Prairie View. And if you sell it to a developer and they put a commercial business there, not only do you get the property tax from the commercial business, but you also get sales tax if they put that kind of business there. So you're gonna have long-term income on a continuous flow coming into the city from that particular option. The other option is a little bit more complex and a little bit more iffy, but more effective than selling it to the university. And that option is to, from what I understand, there's a contract that the city has gotten a hold of, finally, after 100 years, from 1970 something, that a part of the contract says that once the university and the city feel that the city is in a position to take over the wastewater plant, that the university will turn that over to the city. So if that is the case, and whatever criteria they have for proving that the city is able to take over that, once that's done, then my idea is to give the city, for the city to give the university a credit for whatever is owed to them. And whatever that balance is, the balance is $600,000, give the university a $600 credit for over a 10-year period. And that way, that'll get rid of the bill and give us, clear our bill, give us the ability to control our own wastewater treatment plant. We don't have to spend money to, as we've been discussing over the months, we don't have to spend money to build another wastewater treatment plant, because actually, in all practicality and theoretically, some kind of way, that belongs to us already. Now, I don't know what criteria we need to prove that we're in a position to take over that, but from what I read from the agreement, what I understand from the agreement is that that belongs to the city at this point, or should. So those are my suggestions, and like I said, I have actually talked to people, and I'm excited.
Thank you. Next, public hearing on the budget.
There is something I would like to ask, since we're talking about roads, and we've lost our MOU with the county's not gonna do our roads anymore. Where is the money in the budget to now make a focus on these roads? Because everyone that's talked has talked about the roads.
I think
Page 3.
the council, well, there's money within the budget to fix our streets. How we go about it, I think that's conversations that us and the mayor will have to have, as to if we insource it or outsource it. Me personally, I think it's best if we would outsource our roads getting fixed with whatever money that we have allocated in the budget. Partner up with a company that does streets, so that way we know at least out of the year that we spending this amount of money, but this company is doing the additional work and knowing that they're doing great work as well. and that it's every year, so that way we can put a strategic plan and we've been talking about into place. That would be my hope, and I know that the mayor has open discussions.
Well, and I do know that you've come and given reports over the last months about your effort to repair the roads, but you don't break it down, you think you're gonna outsource it so you don't need road materials and all of that?
No, actually, you said what page, Jerry?
Page 3.
Page 3.
Well, you don't have hers. In your handout, page 3 is where the line item is for the first young lady that mentioned the grass cutting. Look under street repairs and
I
grass
must not be
cutting.
the right page 3, all right.
Oh, excuse me. Did I get the right one? Page 3.
It's toward the bottom.
Page 3, toward the bottom. It's under street repairs and grass cutting.
Okay,
We have 158,000 allocated for this fiscal period.
One of the other things that, that happened maybe just a week ago, one of our former employees used to always, prior to coming to us, he used to be overseeing or working with street repairs in the city of Navasota. And as Mr. Bogus has come back, the potholes that were on the agenda were taken care of literally the next day. And then he was charged, him and Mr. Glover working together, rode around and they did quite a bit more of the initial repairs. Some of the heavy stuff they're planning on cutting out and doing the kind of stuff it takes to do that. But in addition to what Councilman Jones said, those things are being addressed. The last time the city did major street repairs because of the cost, they took out a bond.
correct.
So that's something that we may have to entertain doing again. But those are the things that are being done and being discussed.
And so what is your plan? Because in the budget hearing last night, you talked about the police budget. And Councilman Rowland talked about part-time, all the discussion that we had last night. I know we don't want to have it again. But it seems like, based on the conversation that happened last night, that every time we get a new person, our direction for the city changes. Where's the plan to make us what we want to be?
Well, actually, there's been no change in direction, except going up. Right now, in the budget, we have approximately 12 full-time police officers, and it's my understanding that we've never reached 12 full-time officers. That's in the budget. So unless there's a different decision, that's what's in the budget, I guess, that you have in your hand right now. So it hasn't been a change in direction. The plan has been, for example, Chief Solomon went to make more money. So we have increased, actually during his time, we increased our average starting salaries for our law enforcement officers because turnover in the city in law enforcement had been very bad. It's very much stable these last 6 months or so. And we're just looking to bring on a few more people, but the people that we had are still here. So there's been no change in direction, except, again, going up to do more and put more folks out there. Our officers' safety, along with our residents. But when an officer runs up on someone and he has no backup, or she has no backup, and they're out there by themselves, that's a safety issue. But certainly if we got something going on one side of the city and something going on another, and we only have one officer, so we're looking to increase it. So it's, the direction is increasing and going up, hopefully.
So you have a strategic plan that we can see of where the direction of the city is going for all the various departments?
No, there's some work on a strategic plan. They had one when I came in, it was quite a few years old.
Okay,
And the direction that the city has taken. Because, you know, you have your plan, but you also have to deal with if someone comes in and buys land and wants to build that over there and is zoned
Oh, I
for
know.
it. You didn't want that over there, but if they fit the zoning, that's the plan. So the initial plan, basically, was to increase revenue. We couldn't entertain some of the additional officers, the street repairs, or anything else. So the first roughly 30 months were spent increasing business in here, turning raw land into productive property land, getting more people in here to increase our sales tax, which went from 26,000 a month to, right now it's almost 100,000 a month. That's only sales tax. But without the new businesses and the people, primarily students, we wouldn't have the money to have these discussions.
So, in the budget, are you giving money to the economic development people?
Yes.
They get a percentage of the sales
Sales
tax
tax.
automatically.
And
We
do
don't
you-
give them, it's automatic.
And do you have benchmarks that they have to meet?
The Economic Development Corporation has to have its,
It's a standalone entity?
no,
Yes.
well, it's a totally standalone entity.
Okay.
But it has to come doing certain things, expenditures of $10,000 or more, things like that have to be approved by council. So there's a check and balance built in by the state. We have nothing to do with that.
Well, no, but I was just looking at, if you look at Fulshire, in the last 10 years, their median income has gone from $44,000 to $167,000, grown 663%. What are they doing that's making it grow?
You're talking about median income of residents? They're not a college town. So you're not even comparing apples to apples. That's meat to food.
If I compare, that's what you told me when I gave you this, when I taught you about the poverty level. But it tells me you have 646 households. That doesn't sound like college to me, doesn't sound like students to me. 646 households.
And that might have been when they did that, but as I go around, I see a bunch of empty houses. Are they
Okay.
on your list? I know I've been to a lot of funerals. Are those houses gone? And the
I know,
students
I
aren't
know.
coming back, so we'll have to address that in another time. Let me see if there's another budget question.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
so have you revised your plan as far as, a 5-year plan for the city? Or 2-year plan in relating to, what the young lady is asking back there? You know, it's,
There's a strategic plan committee. Have they finished their work? No. And they're looking to bring in a professional because that's not what any of us do. It sounds good, but it's a very detailed, extensive, and expensive undertaking that we have not done in the last couple of years, no.
okay, so we just spending money then?
To piggyback off that, I think we do have a strategic plan not necessarily put in place, but before I was elected, there was a strategic plan. And as of now, I know we just got, like, for the most part, council just received documentation of that strategic plan. I do think it would be, very useful for all of council, including the mayor, to read that strategic plan to see how could we use some of the things that was already placed there before we go 100% into developing a plan for a new strategic plan. Because if no one reads or put it into action,
Right.
then it just stays a strategic plan without us moving forward with